Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today we'll be discussing the strategies that e-commerce brands can employ in order to scale up their business on quick commerce channels such as Blinkit, Zepto, and Swiggy Instamart.
A lot of brands are getting onboarded to various quick commerce channels, prominently such as Swiggy Instamart, Zepto, Blinkit, right? Uh, the quick commerce as a business model, it began primarily with food and beverages, products related to food and beverage category, right? But recently we have seen there has been an influx of products from a variety of categories and not just food and beverages, right? So in this webinar, we'll be primarily discussing about strategies that brands need to employ in order to be successful on e-commerce channels. Strategies related to identify the right product assortment, what should their pricing strategy framework should be, how can they optimize listings for higher visibility in quick commerce channels, and how can they optimize their conversions by understanding user analysis. We'll also be covering points related to how brands need to set up their supply chain operations in order to function seamlessly in these channels, wherein we'll try to understand the infrastructure required in order to process for seamless order fulfillment to quick commerce dark stores. We'll understand how can brands manage their inventory efficiently given the dynamic nature of operations on these channels. And we'll also be discussing a few success stories of brands that have been able to crack the quick commerce, right? So to discuss these points, I have with me Dilip Vamanan from SellerApp and Harsh Vaidya from WareIQ, right? Dilip would be primarily discussing about pointers related to how can brands focus on improving what should be the strategy for brands when they are thinking about product assortment, visibility on these channels, optimizing listings, etc. And Harsh primarily would be discussing pointers related to supply chain operations, right? So to start off with, Dilip, what do you think are the most prominent challenges, especially from visibility and listings point of view, that brands currently are facing on quick commerce channels such as Blinkit, Zepto, Swiggy, Instamart? And what do you think, how can these brands solve for it?
Hey, thanks, Aman. Hi, Hush, and all the 65 viewers in this webinar. I think obviously the presence of 60 plus people shows the kind of immense interest in terms of quick commerce platforms, right? I mean, I think this is a very exciting time, and I believe, like, I mean, any brand you speak today, they all are essentially one or the other way. They are actually associated with the quick commerce platforms. So gone are the days where people are only looking at either the traditional retail or the marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart. All the brands are essentially right now focusing on quick commerce as a major channel, right? Now, coming to challenges, Aman, I think I would classify this into 4 buckets. Obviously, in quick commerce platforms, if you look at it, the entire inventory is not available right now. Most of the brands have put a very limited amount of inventory, right? I mean, I was speaking to a brand today morning who has, like, let's say around 3,000 plus SKUs, and in QC platform they have less than 1% which is available, right? So that number of SKUs are very limited. That would be one of the challenge for a very large brand. Second would be the limited amount of data which is available, right? I mean, it can be in terms of their optimizing the current business, scaling the current business, or managing the business, right? So in all the buckets, the data availability is very limited, right? And like Amazon and Flipkart have been there for more than a couple of decades right now, and data and marketplaces are also kind of sharing more and more data to sellers as well as softwares like us. But in QC platforms, it is little bit kind of a very closed loop right now. So the data availability is low, and that's where I think, yeah, I mean, platforms like us, SellerApp or WareIQ come into picture. We are here to focus on the growth of sellers.
Thanks for quickly summarizing, the kind of problems the brands are currently facing right now, and what can they, and give a teaser about what they can possibly do in order to overcome these. So just wanted to understand, If you can probably, give us a brief introduction of what SellerApp does, and especially, in relevance to quick commerce as a theme, and what can it provide brands with so that they are able to kind of be better visible on these channels. They're able to understand what is the right product assortment to take. How can they optimize listings and conversions so that they have higher sales, right? So you can kindly maybe briefly walk us through these pointers. That'd be great, I think, for the listeners.
Yeah, thanks, Aman. Let me know if my screen is visible for you.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. See, we are a 7-year-old data analytics company. We have primarily focused on e-commerce sellers who considers marketplace as a primary channel. Globally, we are known as a platform which helps in terms of ad optimization, product insights, listing optimization, etc. Like it's been used by more than 150,000 sellers across the globe. In India, we are used by around 30,000 plus sellers. That's our major business. That means providing data and various kinds of insights and intelligence for sellers. We work with different kinds of sellers. Like we work with sellers who are third-party sellers. We also sell sellers like who are in India, who are selling in US, Canada, UK, India, all those geographies. That's our primary business. Around 18 months back, we expanded to ONDC. We are one of the prominent seller apps out there. We are working with both CPG, third party, as well as traditional companies. Like CPG example would be somebody like a Coke or a Red Bull. I mean, traditional companies like VGuard, we are working, and D2C, if you look at it, somebody like MyGlam, we are working. So there we are again an end-to-end platform enabling the sellers to go live and managing their business on ONDC. Quick commerce came, I mean, mainly this platform we launched mainly because of a lot of interest from our existing set of customers, both on marketplaces as well as on ONDC, where we saw that sellers have been facing these kind of challenges. I'll get into challenges in detail, but we saw that there is an enormous amount of opportunity for us to kind of provide data, and that's where we started. And now the product is really matured. Thanks for the initial adopters we had, but now we got good amount of feedbacks from the customers in terms of improving and optimizing our product. And currently we are doing more than 1 million requests in a day to understand challenges such as like availability, visibility, etc. So that has been the journey so far. A software for marketplace sellers, and second one is a software again for a larger CPG brand, right? SellerApp and Sellmetric. We have both the brands. So now let me delve into the current challenges we have seen on quick commerce platforms a bit. Again, the first metric what we have seen is a minimal metric, which I'm seeing. We have seen some of the brands lose maybe, let's say, 50-60% of their revenue because their products are unavailable on the dark stores, right? And it's not just the marketplaces alone. It's not the marketplace like Blinkit and Zepto or Instamart to be responsible here. It also, because of the way in which some of these companies have set up their, let's say, for example, their FC warehouses, or it can be also based on their kind of how they process the POs, right? I mean, so you got a PO, but you are taking longer time to process those POs, right? So we have seen on an average around 24% of the revenue of all these brands lose because of their unavailability on the last warehouse or last pin codes. That's the first problem we have seen. The second challenge we have seen is an internal category manager at these marketplaces. They also take time to understand that for one of their top selling SKUs, the product is not available, right? Which essentially goes into an on-demand process of reaching out to the supply chain, reaching out to the warehouse and getting those product replenished, right? So again, it is a time-consuming process, especially if it's a holiday and a long weekend. It takes more than 9 hours. The third thing is the assortment is not standard across various pin codes, right? And our initial thesis here was it is because of the demand and kind of products which people are ordering. Let's say I'm sure that somebody ordering in West Bengal, Kolkata may be different from Chennai, but that's also not the use case, right? We have seen many times you have a higher selling assortment. When we look at the data from the traditional marketplaces, we see a product which is very high in demand in, let's say, Northeast region, but that product is not available in Kolkata, right? So again, that's a pain point. And last one is the most critical thing, that is, if your product is not available, it's not just leading to revenue loss for you for today, but it is also leading to a customer loss, which means that there is a very high chance that the customer might shift to a competitor brand and you lost the customer forever, right? And this we have also seen in traditional marketplaces. When you look at the repeated purchase behavior of customers, we have seen if you lose a customer in a particular month, it's impossible for you to retain back. How much ever ads you run, how much ever retargeting you do, you won't be able to retain that customer. So we looked at all four challenges, and based on this, we came with a solution a couple of months back. And at the end of the day, it is solving around 3 to 4 key metrics for you. Uh, it's solving much more, but I'm just discussing the core 3, 4 points. The first one is your availability. I'll go through a live demo also after this, where all the pin codes, all the major cities, all the major marketplaces, all the pin codes, your product should be available, right? That's period, right? Your product should be available in all the locations. The second one is also looking at your branded and long tail keywords, whether are you ranking high, right? Here again, it's a very, I mean, we saw for one of the very large D2C brand, for their branded keyword, the product was nowhere coming in the first page, right? Or at least the first fold of the search results, right? Again, a very, very critical metric to track. I know like some of the folks who are actually joining here might be doing this to a greater extent by doing manually, but we have seen the process breaks when you have, let's say, more than 5 cities and you have like, let's say, more than 10 SKUs and you want to track, let's say, more than 100 pin codes. It's not possible to do all these things manually, right? That's where somebody like us come into picture. And the last one is understanding the pricing dynamics of yours versus your competitor, right? Quick commerce platforms, I think once you get a genuine customer, once you get a loyal customer, it's very difficult. They will switch to another brand. For example, I mean, we have been buying products from a particular brand for Museli every day. I mean, we have been consuming that. And we have been shifted from the last 6 to 7 months, right? Which means that, for example, cornflakes or a Museli or whatever it is, I mean, I am a loyal customer. I'll continue to be a loyal customer for a longer period of time, right? Unless the product is not available and I move to another channel and then buy the product, right? So again, the pricing and discount is also another metric you can really track it, where you can go through the your product versus your competitor product, understand the MRPs, understand the sale prices, the discounts, the discount percentage, as well as the discount percentages, right? I mean, both are very critical metric to again look at it. And so let me get into a live demo and show you something which is already used by hundreds of sellers right now. And all of you are attending here. I think when I was talking to Aman had mentioned that we need to provide some value for all of you. So all of you, this is not a sales pitch. All of you can actually request for a free availability report. What you can do is you can try to get in touch with us after the call, and we will share with you an availability report for your brand across all the quick commerce platforms, across all, let's say, 100 plus pin codes as well, right? This is something which we will share with you post this call. Okay, now let me get into the demo of the platform, right? Okay, so now once you log into the platform, as I told you, the metrics are around the availability, visibility, assortment, pricing and discount, and various kinds of alerts which you can set it so that your internal team can understand, right? So now overview, as I suggested, it is essentially a summarization of all the features. So all the critical metrics which you want to track, like for example, the pin code anomalies which are seen, or your search positions, category strength, all of those data is available here. Again, how your products are, assortments are spread across all the different channels. The visibility, which means the keywords and rankings. Out of stock, this is the first metric I will look at it. I will go and click on out of stock, go straight away to that table, and try to understand why am I not available in, for example. So for me, the rule of thumb is anything greater than 3% is a concerning factor for me. And let's say if a city like Hyderabad, I see 4.2%, it's a very, very critical metric for me to look at. And I will talk to my CAM. I will also talk to the CAM at the other side of the Instamart and try to resolve this, right? Again, if also one of the conventional wisdom we have seen is if a product is selling well on one channel, and if the marketplace is also selling on that city or that pin code, your product should be available in all, right? So here I will obviously try to reach out to both Blinkit and Zepto and make sure that I get a PO and I make my product available there. Because sometimes the customer may switch to another marketplace, there is some discount running, and try to order your same product from there. I will also look at data like city-wise, channel-wise, date-wise, if there is any change happen in the recent time. Again, all these things you can also go to the date filter here. You can change it. You can track it for one day. You can track it for multiple days. And but I will ensure that I am enabling my team to go and download this report, export this report on a day-to-day basis, and also track it in a sheet. And that also is something which I will do it, right? Again, some of these metrics are also kind of customizable. So your team might want to look at it in the data in a different way. So you can look at it. So again, here I'm also looking from a pan-India perspective where the out of stock is happening for your products. Again, I can click deeper. I will get the data in terms of pin code wise. In Hyderabad, these pin codes, why is it 7.4%? Very, very critical metric for me to look, right? So I think I have just 2 more minutes. I'll just quickly go through visibility and assortment from a high level. Visibility, as I mentioned to you, very, very critical metric to do it. You track all your major keywords. Again, we make it the process very seamless. Once you connect your marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart, we automatically understand the high performing, high converting keyword for you, and the platform will automatically track it on your behalf, right? So here we kind of understand your rankings, like what are the rankings, how it has been performing, and we also auto pull your competition, and we understand how they are also performing, not just organically but also from a sponsored campaign point of view. Yeah, again, a lot of bunch of data points which will help you to do that. Let me get into the assortment. It gives you a very fair bit of idea in terms of how your products are positioned in the major categories as well as subcategories. So there are a couple of things we have always seen many times. What happens is your product is not tagged to a category or a subcategory. It's a major problem. So there are a lot of null categories we have seen where products are ranked, which means that obviously you're losing in terms of your category visibility, right? So those are again insights which will be driven here. But again, you have an option to go down and kind of compare your brand versus your competitor brand, and it will also give you a fair bit of idea in terms of pricing, your discounts, your total SKUs, all kind of comparison also you can do under the assortment. The last and the one of the critical metrics you need to track is how price sensitive are you? Like how are you essentially are you taking the decision in terms of prices right? Obviously right now in some of the category, the competition intensity may not be as high as market Amazon or Flipkart. So you may decide to go for a higher margins at this point of time, but long term, I'm sure that the competition is also going to build in these platforms, right? So you need to also kind of look at your MRPs, your average sales prices, the discounts which you're offering, discounts the other brand is offering, and track it, right? So again, what we have also seen is your products may or may not be see, as a brand you want to show a certain kind of price ranges across all the channels, right? I mean, not just your online but also in your offline, right? So this is also a very critical metric to track. What are the prices, what are the kind of discounts which are seen across the channels, right? So here if you look at it, the discounts are ranging from 17.94% to 20%, which is still okay. 3 to 4% of difference, which is okay. But in case you see a higher change difference, like let's say if there is more than 10%, which is not good for you as a brand, right? I mean, you want to show that your product is you kind of maintain a good synergy in terms of price variation across the channels, right? So as I told you, like, I mean, you can always all these metrics, which I mean, my friend Harsh will be taking you more about your availability and inventory statuses. But I'm telling you, let's say any of these things which I mentioned to you, let's say your availability, assortment, pricing, all these metrics we will share with you as an as a report for you, so that you will understand the kind of value you can drive out of it. So yeah, so what do you, Aman?
Thanks, Dilip. Thanks a lot. I think that was very comprehensive. And SellerApp, and from this, I understand that SellerApp is making foray and great progress into making sure that brands have great visibility and understand what their inventory availability looks like, pin code wise, city wise, channel wise, across all quick commerce channels, which is I think one of the biggest problems right now, both visibility and understanding how much availability a branch have on these channels, right? Uh, the next thing that I want to discuss is uh, now that we have some clarity around how can brands improve their visibility and track availability. Uh, it's very important to understand how to set up the right operations infrastructure so that seamless order fulfillment can be ensured across all these channels, especially given the dynamic nature of these channels, given that speed is the name game over here, right? So Harsh, just wanted to kind of take your opinion on how do you think brands can approach their fulfillment strategy so that they're able to set up efficient operations in order to overcome all the challenges that they might be facing on quick commerce channels, given the nature of quick commerce channels,
Yeah,
right?
perfect. Great. First of all, thanks, Ale, for a pretty comprehensive presentation. And for all the attendees here, if you have any questions, you can navigate to the bottom right section. There is an activity tab. You click on the Q&A and you can ask questions there, and we can either address it live in the flow or also take it towards the end. So, yeah, I have few slides which I put together purely from a supply chain perspective. Quick commerce is a very important channel for everyone right now. For us as a company, like 18 months back, it was practically nothing. So Zepto folks were part of Y Combinator in the next batch to us. They were doing a grocery delivery startup. At at that point, didn't really feel like they'll be like competing against Amazon, Flipkart, and being a very compelling channel towards that. So very interesting to see how the ecosystem just in 18 months has moved so quickly. Like what Dilip's solution has come up in last 2 to 3 months. And even for us as a supply chain company, in none of my presentation or pitch, we talked about how to fulfill quick commerce orders and everything, because it was like a very small edge case and not really something very, very concrete. FBA was like a big channel, Flipkart was like a big channel. So today I'm going to talk about like what is our learning, like working in last 18 months with some of the top D2C brands. And I see a lot of the attendees, some of our customers have also joined in. So to begin with, I'll just give a very quick overview about WareIQ for anyone who does not know us and has joined in today. So let me know when my screen is on share. I think it's loading a bit. All
Yeah.
right. So yeah. So as a company, we are a e-commerce fulfillment company. We currently work with 400 plus brands right now. A lot of them are early stage, fast growing D2C. A lot of them are traditional large retail conglomerate going very large into very focused into digital channels also. So we provide fulfillment services, be it marketplaces, quick commerce, your D2C website or B2B. And from a capabilities perspective, one is our platform which connects to various sales channels a brand sells on. We help with inventory prediction and placement insight, how much inventory to keep in which warehouses. We operate a network of warehouses pan India. So warehouse definitely is like a core offering, fulfillment centers everywhere as an alternate to an FBA or a FBM. And then you can make a very competitive delivery promise, show these fast shipping badges on your D2C, and connect to various courier partners pan India to get that thing delivered, reverse pickup, and all the gamut of offering around supply chain. So that's been our solution so far. Now focusing on the quick commerce, so I can share some of my viewpoints. Like I've been observing brands diversifying their order volume across various channels. Quick commerce is like a new bucket which got added, and it is becoming pretty prominent uh, over the last 18 months. For some brands who started just in last 2 years, I can also see a lot of brands focusing with Q-commerce as a primary channel, and the sales share is as high as 60%. But I also see a lot of brands whose numbers are around single digit and then stable around that, and they're still gaining share on Amazon. Some are very D2C focused, so they are also going there. So one of my focus or at least observation is that quick commerce is not growing at the expense of other channels. Amazon volumes, Shopify volumes, B2B, trade, general trade, modern trade, they all are coexisting and growing decently well. So what that means is there is a channel fitment and every channel is focusing a particular market need. And quick commerce is going to target a certain set of SKUs, may not have a fitment with all of your long tail set of SKUs, which you can see traction in Amazon, Flipkart. And of course, your website allows you to build that brand presence. So everyone is building up a or addressing a very specific use case and market need. So they all will coexist. It's not going to come with a expense, at least from what I see right now. But the challenge right now is that inventory asset is limited. Be it a larger company, a retail company which can have a lot of cash flow to buy more inventory, or a small bootstrap company which is just early in the market. Inventory is going to be a limited asset for everyone. So you cannot just buy inventory for every channel and keep on placing certain stock for FBA, certain stock for Flipkart, certain for Q-commerce, B2B, Shopify, and everything. So this is like one core proposition which I feel that WareIQ as a company addresses is you can have a common pool of inventory, list every SKU in every channel, and we will manage all of that. So send inventory to any of the fulfillment centers, and we will make sure that if you get order from Amazon for that SKU, that SKU gets reflected in other channels, and you are able to kind of multiply your inventory. So now you are able to utilize all the channels and also maximize the output of the inventory versus locking in for every channel. But there are certain dynamics for quick commerce which are very different from, say, a traditional marketplaces from a supply chain perspective. While inventory is going to be like a limited asset that everyone needs to work on, I can talk about from a quick commerce supply chain perspective how it kind of differs. From a fundamental perspective, the bulk of e-commerce in India is happening from a very uh, limited affluent pin codes. While there are 20,000 plus pin codes in India, and if I plot their sales share, which this chart is showing, you could see that the predominant sales come in from a very limited set of pin codes. And there are long tail of pin codes from tier 2, tier 3 cities, which in an aggregate contributes to a very significant volume, but in isolation does not create a lot of demand generation, which larger platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and everyone is going to target. And you have like supply chain to address that. However, from a dark store model of Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, they will only focus on the high demand center pin codes, which can be covered in 10 to 15-minute delivery and will not be for all the long tail. So by definition, the quick commerce fulfillment from a supply chain perspective is going to be highly regional in nature. So it is going to be highly regional. What that means for us as a brand operator is that the planning is going to be at a city zone levels and not national zones level, which typically happens in Amazon FBA. You have like hubs for various regions and you have to be regionally available there for visibility, etc., etc. Here it is more micro in nature where the planning has to be at a city zone. The second is these are dark stores which are say 3 to 5,000 square feet in space. While Amazon FBA centers or large fulfillment centers are say 100,000 square feet, you can send out all your inventory, long tail of SKUs and everything, put up a inventory cover of a month or 2 month and plan it well, and you are not too much in a stress. But here, since the format of dark stores are limited, the reorder quantities will be low in nature. You could also get in a PO of 50 units or 100 units, so very small quantities. And replenishments will be very frequent, say every 10 days or every 15 days. In certain cases, could be also lower. The other challenge is, which Dilip is addressing, is that currently Blinkit, Zepto, they are in the early journey, so they do not have a seller panel, which is as mature of, say, a Flipkart or an Amazon. So you don't really get any sell-through insight. which SKU is performing how well in north versus south. So you can build up your inventory, plan how much you need to send to which location, everything. So you're practically flying blind. So this is like a very big challenge from a supply chain perspective. Um, to summarize, the planning has to be highly regional. The quantities will be very low, replenishment will be very frequent, and you have no sell-through insights. So what that means is that you have very little room for error in planning to avoid stockouts. So this is a chart which I built out. So this is like one of the customers where um, there is typically a purchase order for 100 units, which comes in every 10 days. Now, I'm just illustrating this example to showcase how critical or how complex the supply chain for quick commerce planning and execution is. And if you uh, make any wrong moves, you are going to be out of stock. So the benchmark that Will mentioned of 3% as a benchmark, if you don't plan it well, use sophisticated tools to plan that well, you will be stocked out very quickly. So this is a brand which gets 100 orders, typically a purchase order in every 10 days. So this chart is a plot between inventory levels and the days of inventory. So in this case, as the drop of inventory happens, as you keep getting in order volume, the calculation says that we have to reorder when the quantity hits 80 units, because this is the best case scenario. Brand has a lead time of 7 days. So from the point we tell them that the order, we need a purchase order or an inventory in the warehouse, the brand will typically take 7 days to get the stock in our warehouse. So factoring that into account, and also factoring the general frequency of the dark store of every 10 days, we have to notify, make the SQ based insight, and provide the perspective. And we can also leverage insight of a platform like what Dilip presented today, SellerApp, since Amazon, Flipkart, and everything has a seller panel, but that equivalent insight does not exist unless you use a tool like SellerApp. So we can also bank on that to predict this. But this is where the planning becomes very critical, because if you lose this this window of a lead time of 7 days, then you are entering your safety stock. So in this case, we maintain a safety stock of 10 units, for example, but you can get stocked out very well if there is any error in terms of either planning or a lead time change. And so as compared to say FBA, where you at least send out a 15-day or a 30-day of inventory cover and everything, there is very low room of errors here. The other part is essentially appointment-based deliveries. So this is an important aspect in supply chain, marketplace fulfillment, and quick commerce is no different. We have to minimize the failure rates. There is no reason why a purchase order can be returned back from a dark store. And the whole fundamental, like we've been in the market for 5 years, we work with many courier partners, but the net outcome of that is that shorter trips leads to highest success rate of deliveries. If you are fulfilling a purchase order for your marketplace or a quick commerce in Bangalore, and your inventory is going to be sent out from Gurgaon, there are so many hand exchanges, zone changes, that the probability of that reaching on time and on schedule is going to be lower. But if it is like a same city, milk runs, or a very close region by, then you have a very high success rate of deliveries. You can meet that specific date, and you can also meet that particular time slot. While we can try our best to also get those scheduled deliveries in a cross zones, and so, but the probability uh, will be significantly lower as compared to the other zones. So this is like one, like you need regional centers to make sure that the success rate of delivery is very high. You need a specific last mile delivery team to coordinate with the courier, with the pickup point and everything, and make sure that you are hitting that particular time slot. It does not get returned back. You need proof of deliveries to avoid any conflict, mismatch of quantities, etc., because these scenarios may happen as you operate at scale. So this needs to be worked out very well. And in case you get any rejection of purchase order, it will go to the regional warehouse. Within 24 hours, there could be quick reconciliation, assessment on why it was rejected, and a new order can go back very quickly. All this thing cannot be managed if you are running replenishments to all of the major demand centers through just a single node. Suppose you have your warehouse in Gurgaon, and Blinkit has made you live in Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata. Running it everything from a central warehouse will become critical from the appointment-based delivery and all the management perspective. And further, there are also cost advantage. So one of the things that we did some assessment for the brands we've been working with, there is roughly about 5 to 10% cost advantage also, because the inventory is lying regionally. So you are able to fulfill it with a saving into the last mile cost, which allows you to also operate or save margins. Because for a lot of brands that I speak to, like quick commerce is coming at a very tight margin profile. So any area where you can save in from a last mile perspective is going to be critical. So this is where our value also comes in. So typically, just to summarize, how does the model work? It's fairly simple. You place your stock in the regional fulfillment centers of WareIQ, and we can provide you with the insights on which location makes sense and which are the locations where you are also live on Instamart, Blinkit, and Zepto. We have our warehouses in all the locations where some of these platforms are live in, and we can assist you with the placement insight. Once the orders, you get a PO from any of these fulfillment centers, we can prepare the order as per the compliances. Just like FBA has their own compliances and checklist of preparation of orders, quick commerce has their own. So our team is pretty well trained. Stock management in terms of batch management is very critical as they reject the PO. So we have built out systems to make sure that right batches are tracked and we are sending right batches to the dark stores, and repackaging operation is executed at scale. And the smaller units as compared to say FBA are prepared, and then appointment based deliveries to get those things delivered with proof of delivery. So this is something which we do as a full stack offering for quick commerce. So yeah, that's a bit for now. Aman, over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Harsh. I think that was pretty comprehensive. I think you were able to cover, why it's important for brands to have local fulfillment centers that are very close to the dark store so that replenishments can be faster, right? And how it also adds to the cost savings aspect when it comes to operations. So and we also very briefly discussed about the synergies that can be there between SellerApp and WareIQ, especially how SellerApp provides visibility into inventory and how WareIQ can leverage that in order to ensure that all replenishments happen in time and inventory planning can be done in a more predictive fashion, right? So that was great. Thanks for covering those points. I think, yep, it's 1:40. I think we have enough time for covering the questions and answers that the audience members have shared with us. So I see a lot of questions in the Q&A box, right? So to start off with, okay, there's a question on, yeah. So just a note to all the audience members, instead of raising your hands, if you can ask your questions in the activities tab in the Q&A box, I think that would be great. We'll cover your question by taking it from there. So yeah, there's a question on, are the quick commerce platforms integrated with this platform? I think they mean SellerApp to get visibility of inventory at pin code level. Dilip, would you like to take that question?
Yeah, I mean, we are currently live on all the QC platforms, including if you classify BB now also as a QC, we are also adding that. We are also looking at the new ones which are coming up, right? I mean, we have, everyone is like speculating about Flipkart and even Amazon coming with their own QC platform. So as of now, 4, Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, BB now, both Jio and Flipkart, as in when they're live, we should be also live there.
Got it.
Great. Dilip, if questions are visible to you, maybe anything related to SellerApp that you see, you can take a shot at it, and then I'll address all the WareIQ questions.
Sure. I think this is the second, I think this is the most asked question whenever you talk about QC, which is about, is there a minimum yearly revenue required, right? So I know there is a huge influx of interest in terms of folks who want to join. And at times it's also depends on the PO and how do you have is there a need from the QC? Because what we have seen right now in the quick commerce platform is the number of brands in every category, maybe let's say 5 to 15 max, right? I mean, it's not like an open marketplace like Amazon and Flipkart where you can go in and live make your products live. So I mean, we know there are good brands who are trying from the last 8 to 9 months to go live and they're not yet live. I mean, I think we can have a word with the category team, but going live. If you're not going live, I don't think that's a place where we can help it, but I'm sure that WareIQ may be able to little bit faster the process. Are there any sales pattern? I think it's a similar question. Show great. Okay, QC platform shows great growth in the past few years. Will the growth continue? Yeah, I mean, we really wish the growth to continue. I think we see it's the beginning of the overall momentum. And I'm sure that at least for the next 3 to 4 years, we can surely see a growth. But one interesting metric, Harsh, when we are looking at the kind of intersection of users who are buying from quick commerce versus, let's say, from Amazon, Flipkart, right?
Yeah.
The intersection is not huge, right? I mean, we have seen, let's say 90% of the users who are ordering on any of these platforms, it's a very new set of users who may never come to an Amazon or Flipkart, right?
Yeah.
So it's created a complete new category of customers also, right? Not just the product, but users also. So I think the growth is bound to continue. And we also saw during, at least in this IPL, lot of brands came up with their specific products, only IPL themed product, only for quick commerce, right? So it's creating a complete new category. So I'm definitely sure that the growth will continue. How is SellerApp different from Vinculum in terms of so we don't do inventory management. That's what somebody like WareIQ is good at. We don't do inventory management. We are essentially into data. So we are not into inventory management. Are you seller on record? Okay, that's also, yeah. Is there any way to check competition insight on QC very similar to Amazon Helium? Yeah. I mean, actually, I think I demoed you some of the price and the competition intelligence piece. There is a way to do it. We are also trying to build more advanced capabilities like sales velocity and other factors. So those functionalities will come into picture. Yeah. Yes. Over to you, Harsh.
Perfect. So yeah, thanks, Dilip. I'll take the questions. So Adarsh, I get your question on seller on record. So WareIQ does have a seller on record model where there are few brands where we are selling on brand's behalf. So essentially what happens is WareIQ has entity. Just like we are also listed on Flipkart, Amazon, we have also listed on some of the quick commerce platforms. So we typically, based on the product category, calculate our cost of logistics, because what we are essentially offering is a supply chain offering. We calculate our cost of logistics, blend that as a percentage of your selling price, and get an agreement of a buy and sell. So we operate that. There are some examples there. So the benefit is that a lot of the brands get bottlenecked on getting GSTs for multiple states, and it's a big pain point, compliances and all of that. So that can get taken care because our seller on record entity has all the pan India WareIQ warehouses listed on it, so we can get you with a faster time to market. So that's something definitely we address. I'll take the next question. Okay, so I have a question from Himanshu. And Okay, so yeah, so your question is where do we essentially fit into the supply chain and what do we do from a supply chain perspective? So uh, in the most common case, you are selling on these different quick commerce platform, and your inventory needs to sit with any of the warehouse. It could be one or multiple. There is no constraint as such. And if your inventory is available with us, you get a purchase order. We fulfill that PO. So any repackaging that is required, compliances for the products, getting it delivered. From the last mile delivery perspective, we have different partners that we integrate to. So it is not WareIQ running its own fleet. So we work with various partners. We manage their SLAs and assign partners where we see better delivery percentages, appointment-based delivery success points, and get those things delivered. So that's the typical model. From our perspective, there are no minimum MOQs, and so we work with a lot of early stage to mid stage brand also. So hopefully one of these brands scale up and become a breakthrough success, allows us a benefit there. So we don't really keep any minimum threshold as such at this point. Okay, next question. I think Dilip, you want to take this? How about Amazon Helium? Is there a way to check competitor insight? I think probably you covered a bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, see, quick commerce platforms are obviously very early. capabilities have been built. So in fact, I think all the functionalities which are there in competition intelligence to a greater extent is already available right now in the platform. We are building more and more on the top of it. But any kind of quick understanding in terms of the growth, let's say your brand assortment, competition density, all of them are already available with the current solution.
Great. Perfect. The next question is about the PO expiration, like a PO gets expired. Uh, so that is quite critical. Just like FBA or Flipkart, where you get like a time slot or a day to fulfill the orders, it is equal in there where we have to be very disciplined and you cannot afford to miss out a purchase order. So it's just more of an operational discipline. So we have to backtrack from the date of delivery and get all the things in order. So it also, some part of it we do not control, which would mean procurement and the manufacturing lead time and everything. So you need to factor that in and send the stock to WareIQ fulfillment center, taking that into account. And from there on, we make sure we get the things done. The only caveat, as I mentioned in the presentation, is if you are doing like a cross zone delivery, like north to south or west to east, like inventories in Mumbai, you need to make your inventory live in Kolkata and everything. You need to factor in certain uncertainty in place. So if there is like a hub where additionally 2 more days, a courier partner has kept additional days of delivery, or has not moved forward. So those uncertainty will definitely come up in the supply chain. So to counter that, regionally fulfilling always de-risk your supply chain. So if you can keep a local inventory, and it always solves for that. Your PO expiration cases will be next to nothing. And apart from that, it also enables you with, if you're selling on Amazon, your digital visibility will jump up. You will see also other benefit. Your Shopify will start showing next day delivery badges and everything. So typically, I may be coming from bias viewpoint that regional fulfillment centers are important, but I've seen like PO success rates significantly jump up with regional inventory placement. Okay. How can, given there's limited visibility? Yeah. So from a visibility perspective, yeah, you are right. There is limited visibility. Amazon and Flipkart provides more SKU level data, how it is selling through various regions. And so this is where what Dilip has been working on from a data visibility perspective is going to be very strategic for brands like you to build out that insight. And and the strategies at a pin code level is what Dilip was also showcasing, that it is very micro, not at a zonal national level and everything. You need to know that if outer ring road in Bangalore is a very high demand center, are you selling there or not, and what's your sell through rate? You should not be going out of stock. That percentage has to be lower than 3%, and keeping that as a goal, everything can be backtracked. Yeah. So Aniket, I'll take your question on how returns are handled in SOR model. So yeah, the returns come back to the fulfillment center. We do the quality check, and and the reconciliation process gets managed by us. So what was the reason of rejection? Was it like a wrong batch? Was it a quality issue, or it is wrong product being sent back? So the whole grading of the return product, what is a good return, what is a bad return? Good return gets back to be part of the inventory and gets sold again. For the bad return, we have to do further categorization and get it back from the reconciliation. So we have a team in Bangalore which does this day in and day out for a lot of brands. So we have a complete process built around it. Okay, so Aman, we have covered the questions.
Yeah.
So over to you.
Yep. Yeah. So thanks to the audience members for sharing the questions in the question box. I think those are very interesting questions, and thanks for Dilip and Harsh to cover those questions comprehensively. Yeah, I think they know the questions right now. So I think we can, with that, we can close the webinar. I see a question on will we get a recording after the webinar? Yeah, surely. We will send you a recording of the webinar. The webinar will be uploaded on YouTube, and we'll share the YouTube link with you in an email so that you can watch it at your leisure, and also share it with your colleagues for whom this theme is relevant, right? So thank you to Harsh and Dilip for being the speakers to this webinar and comprehensively covering both aspects of what the brand's quick commerce strategy should be from the point of view of visibility and availability, and as well as from a supply chain point of view as well. And thanks to the audience members for joining the webinar and being patient listeners. So
there are a couple of questions. Someone maybe while you were speaking, there are a couple of questions coming.
That's great. That's
since
great.
we have time, Dilip, I think they're largely
Yeah,
connected to you.
I was just looking at it. There is a question related to ONDC. As a small farmer myself, I'm trying to leverage ONDC, right? See, ONDC just had an FPO Mela last week. I think there is a lot of push from the MSME ministry, especially in terms of supporting a lot of FPOs. We are also very excitedly supporting them. You can reach out to me, Mahesh. We can do all the things which is possible. Who will take an appointment from QC, brand, or WareIQ? Yeah, I think in this, ideally, if you're not yet live on QC, I think first thing is to request them to essentially get onboarded. I think the QC team will reach out to you, and also reach out to WareIQ team. I think they can also put a good word about you to the QC so that your the onboarding process become accelerated. Can we get a real mock time report or some seller app? Yeah, I'm happy to share with your demo data. Listing is a struggle. Who can contact? I think this is again related to onboarding. Yeah, I know. There is a when you look at the whole all the three e-commerce platforms put together, probably there will be around 2,500 to 3,000 brands which are live, right? And if you also look at the Amazon or Flipkart, they say that we have close to 3 lakh sellers which are live, right? So there is a 3 lakh sellers are there in the traditional online marketplaces like Amazon and Q-commerce platform. There will be like 2,500, 3,000. So that is like 1 by 100. So obviously there's a huge interest, huge momentum in terms of getting onboarded. I believe all the channels are also working on it, but yeah, it's
Right. Yeah. I think the other part is, as a format, quick commerce is going to be limited. It will have a smaller format, so it can only have top few brands for a particular SKU. So that is a business decision which we cannot influence too much. But yeah, I think irrespective of you get listed on Q-commerce or not, having a great success story outside allows you to be profiled by them. So continue being successful in whichever channels you have a fitment, and I think they will reach out to you versus you will have to reach out to them. So that's always a strategy. From an appointment perspective, I think I probably got your question. So if you are selling directly on quick commerce right now, then you will have to take a appointment. If WareIQ is a seller, then we take care of the appointment if it is a seller on record model. Okay. Yeah, I think rest of the questions we largely covered. So thanks everyone. Thanks for Dilip for also putting together the whole demo and presentation. And this was also insightful for me. And for everyone, we'll also break this down into some digestible PDF that's more easily accessible. And of course, you'll have videos on our YouTube channels.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Harsh. Thanks, Dilip. And thanks to the
Thank you,
audience members
everyone.
as well. So
Bye.
we'll be closing the webinar now. Thank you. Have a good one.